I was able to pay off $43,000 of debt in just 13 months. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through step by step exactly how my wife and I did it. But before we get into that, let's talk about what we do in these videos. I'm building my personal finance community in public daily with these videos. It's called Dollar Discipline University. The first thing I want to do in these videos is get right into a YouTube Q&A. So any kind of questions, comments, concerns, you can just go off of any YouTube channel, ask any questions, whatever. I'm just trying to provide instant value to you. The next thing, and probably the reason why you clicked on this video, is we're continuing our wins series. And in this video, it's about my story, paying off $43,000 of debt in 13 months. I've done maybe 4 or 5 other stories of people inside my community that have done some awesome things. And I guess I just kind of wanted to share mine, and hopefully it helps you. At the end, maybe we'll be sharing some community activities, so things that are going on inside of Dollar Discipline University that are going to help you reach your financial goals. But first, we have to go to the YouTube comments, and let me just refresh this page here. No YouTube comments, no problem at all. Let's start firing them in, guys. So let's get to the meat of the video. The wins series, paying off $43,000 of debt in 13 months. How did I do it? I don't know. No, just kidding. So I'm going to get my little drawing tool out. 43K debt in 13 months. Now, this was a bunch of years ago now, and I really, really wish I knew back then that I was going to be doing this, meaning like creating content to help people in their personal finances, like save more money or pay off debt, or building a community helping people do the same thing. Like I would have taken way better like notes, and I would have wrote everything down, like all my feelings and my emotions, and I wish I had all that stuff, okay? But what I have is this. My wife and I, we had 12 loans. I wouldn't recommend that. It's a lot. I wouldn't recommend it. It's tremendously a lot. And really before this started, I guess, we kind of drew a line in the sand with our life. So it was at a time when we, were thinking about having kids or whatever, and we just did like a full life audit, and we're like, what is in our life that we just don't think would be how do we fix whatever bad stuff that we're doing right now? And the main thing was the debt. We had $43,000. $43,000 in debt. And we had the 12 loans. So we drew a line in the sand. We're like, okay, this has got to go. So what do we do? So it was my brilliant idea to do let's do a 5-minute call. 5-minute meeting in our living room. And we did it on our laptop. We had a real rinky-dinky spreadsheet. And more or less, we just wrote down total loan amount and the month. And I guess the loan provider, right? So imagine this list of provider 1, provider 2, okay? And up here we have up here we had whatever month we started in, November, December, right? You get the point. And we had all these amounts filled out, and we just did this every single month. But the strategy that we used, and we kind of backed our way into it, and again, I didn't really know that this existed back then, but we used the debt snowball method. And if you're not familiar with that or you need a refresher, this is where we pay our debts down, pay debt in order of smallest loan to largest. So think about it like this. If you have a loan, if you have 3 loans, and one of them is $1,000, one of them is $10,000, and one of them is $25,000, that's the order that you would pay it off in: the $1,000, the $10,000, the $25,000. No other piece of information needs to be thought of for this debt snowball method. You're just literally, okay, let me just pay off this $1,000 one. And then you're like, okay, let's, that one's done. Let's go to the $10,000 one. So what you do is you pay minimums on all debts, and then any money left over goes towards smallest debt. And if you're kind of starting out on your journey, or you don't really know where to start with how to, like, what to do with the debt, this is the one I would just typically recommend. If someone walked up to me in the street, it was like, hey, I have some debt, how should I pay it off? I would just, without having any context, I would probably say this one. And then I would ask more questions, like, dive in a little deeper to see if I can give them a better answer. But the other one that I like is the debt avalanche method. And of course, these are pretty popular. Like, people talk about these all the time. This is pay debt in order of largest interest rate percentage to smallest. So in that other example, let's say we have that $1,000 that we talked about before. We have the $10,000, okay, and we have the $25,000, the example that we gave in the debt snowball method. Now let's assume that this $1,000 loan has a 18% interest rate. This $10,000 one has a 22% interest rate, and the $25,000 one has a 7% interest rate. So in this case, you would want to pay the $10,000 one first because it has the largest interest rate, then the $1,000 one because it has the next largest, and then the $25,000 because it has the next largest. So depending on the strategy, that's the order that you would do. And all of these still apply. So I'm going to copy, paste this in. The only change, so we pay all the minimums on all the debt, pay minimums on all debts, and any money left over goes towards largest interest percentage. Okay. And why these work is, so one, that snowball method, the benefit, you're likely going to be paying off first loan fastest. That's the benefit. Okay. I'm so bad at drawing straight lines. Okay. And then the benefit here, paying or saving more money because we're paying off the interest rate. Everyone knows that interest is the killer when it comes to debt. Let's try this again. A little better. It kind of died off in the end there. I got to practice. Everyone knows that the reason people stay in debt for so long, and it's the interest. When you look at like the principal that you pay versus what the interest is, you're going to get very upset, right? Because it's like you're making, say, a $300 payment to a debt, and you find out that like 80 of it goes towards the principal and the rest of it is just interest. It's very upsetting, right? Like if any of you have ever had purchased a house and you have a mortgage, don't look at that debt amortization schedule, your interest schedule, because that first payment you're paying like 3 cents towards your principal and the rest of it's interest. It's very frustrating. So let's go back to like kind of how did we do it? So we went through the debt snowball method. We had those 12 loans, $43,000 of debt. So to sort of piggyback on this, the reason why we didn't know at the time, like, hey, what's our strategy? We didn't really have a strategy. We just sort of looked at it and we saw that four of these loans were under, I think it was $1,200. So we're like, it would be very cool if we just got rid of those, get rid of these fast. And by the way, there was like one that was like, I don't know, it was like $300 and we were just paying a silly amount every month. We're like, what are we doing? Just get rid of this silly one. Just get rid of that. That's the first one. right? So it just gives you that momentum. And then we paid off the one and then the two. And then what happens is like, so of these 12 loans, so it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? I'm not going to go all the way down. But what ends up happening is once this first one's paid off, all the money that you're paying towards that first one goes to that second one. So let's say the $300 that we had, we paid $300, and then instead of putting that $300 towards Amazon, you put it towards the number two debt, and now you have $300 plus say the minimum of number two until that gets paid off. So an extra $300 is getting dumped into number two, and then once that's done, all of that money gets to put into number three, right? So let's say you had 300 going in here, and this was you were making $700 payments here. Now that's $700, and I'm just making up numbers here, right? So, but now that $700 is rolling into this, right? And let's say this was I don't know, an extra $200, and then you have $900, right? And it just keeps stacking up and up, and it's just such a cool thing. Like if you have this many, my gosh, I please hope you don't have this many like we did. The amount of money that we had towards the last one was just insane. It was like, it ended up being like $1,500, $2,000 plus a month towards the end, probably a little more than that, and it just kind of crazy. We went all in with this, just to be very clear. So what I like to talk about inside the community, and really just in my content, is what small steps, what small actions can we take to make this thing happen? And the reason why I like this is because instead of thinking, man, we have $43,000 of debt, like how are we going to possibly, we have 12 loans. This is very, very intimidating. Like, what are we even going to do? Well, we did this. I also just realized there's a big typo in here. None of you guys told me. We did this. We did the 5-minute meeting in our living room. Man, none of you guys told me about this. All right, just kidding. And what this did sitting on our couch for 5 minutes with our laptops open make us rich or get us out of debt faster? No. But what it did was we knew, in the context of this, I should say, is that my wife had loans in her name, I had loans in my name, and then we had shared loans, right? So it's like the Oprah meme, like you have debt and you have some debt, whatever. So it was very important that we talked a lot about this because we had, debts all over, but we only had one bank account. So it was pretty important that we chatted, because imagine if we both just went our separate ways. We both made this super priority for one of our specific debts, and then we both we went, I don't know, negative in our bank account because we both went really hard on this one thing when the other person was going hard on another thing. So that's what it was doing. It was sort of prioritizing, okay, where's all the money going this month? Let's keep doing the minimum thing, but where's the extra money going? And that's kind of what we did. And yeah, I guess if I think about it, it was basically like a loan a month on average, right? So if we paid it off in 13 months and there was 12, yeah, so that's pretty cool, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. That's probably not common, but we were very intentional about what we were doing because we had this big carrot that we were dangling in front of us of kids, right? This is a very big carrot that we dangled. We're like, man, we can't mess this up at all. We just wanted to get rid of it. We just thought it'd be better for everyone, less stress, right? If we all know that money leads to stressful things. It's more than just the numbers. It's the mindset, all this other stuff. So what small actions can we take? So I want you guys to ask yourself that. What small actions can you take to reach whatever goal that you're wanting to reach? And I think what's really interesting, let me make a smaller one here. I think what's really interesting is the things that people have done inside the community to win. So I've gone through in the Win series, but people have done things just like they've tracked their money every day. So like any transaction that comes in at the moment of purchase or whatever, they would like add it to whatever thing they wanted to add it to. Some people have an app, some people prefer a spreadsheet. It doesn't really matter, but they would either do it right then or they would kind of save it all, whatever, in a notes app or something, and then update it on their computer when they got home at night. And they did this every day. Now, some people will be like, wow, that's crazy. But really, it's just like, I don't know, how long would that take? 5 minutes? Like, how many things are you buying every day? It would take more time to like boot up your laptop than to enter the things that you spent on that day, right? So this is something that some people have done. Another thing, like for example, just called loan providers. I personally have never done this, but some people in the community are just like, hey, I'm just gonna call and see if they can help me. And sometimes, at no like risk of credit score or anything like that. I'm not a credit score expert, just to be very clear, but the loan providers would come back and be like, okay, we can like change the terms a little bit, their payments go down, and like maybe even the total of the loan goes down. That's just something to think about. But it's just like, what small actions can you take? It's like, well, I can call them and ask. I mean, it's not going to hurt to ask. They'll just say, if they say no, then okay, I'm right back where I was. I'm not going to be worse off, right? When I was starting my personal finance journey, I just looked at my bank account every day. I don't know. It was just I don't know. So the reason why I did that was because at one point I didn't even know how much money was in there, and I got very embarrassed when I was going to purchase a new car, and I didn't have enough money in my bank account to be able to give them the proper check. Super embarrassing, right? Because I went to school for accounting. So then I was like, nah, not going to do this again. So I just started looking at my bank account every day. I did it for 75 days. But what that does is it just builds up a habit and it creates awareness. And awareness is humongous, but it didn't make me rich. I had to take sort of the next step. So if you're just starting, I don't want you to think like, oh, wow, I have $43,000 of debt. What am I going to do with this? It's so overwhelming. I can't like figure out so let's figure out what the problems are. Not problems. Let's figure out what small actions can I take? What challenges am I having in, doing the thing that I need to do? Like, what's holding me back? So a lot of times it's like, oh, I don't feel like I have any money left at the end of the month. It's like, well, okay, perfect. So not perfect, but there's a solution for that. So some people would kind of wait to the end of the month to pay off like maybe extra debt or extra savings or something like that. And it's like, what if we just moved it up in the month first? So if you wanted to pay an extra $100 towards your debt, what if we just did that immediately on the second of the month? Now you have $100 less to spend everywhere else. So now instead of prioritizing your goals, you're just prioritizing probably something way less important that, you can just skip, right? Or not do. And this is all about realigning money with goals. And by the way, this can work with anything: time, effort, sacrifice, with goals. It works with anything. Because I've been doing a lot of this recently. My wife and I mean, we've got 2 kids. I'm sure other people have kids and very busy and everything like that. But it's just like the thing that we are lacking right now is just, it feels like we have no time. And we are trying to get some back. So it's like, okay, so how do I realign my time to the things I want to do? It's like, well, I should probably stop spending time on things I care about less, right? So a lot of this has to do with our North Star goals. And like I mentioned up top, when I was paying off the debt, the North Star goal essentially was like, hey, we want to have kids. So that was pretty motivating for us. But this North Star goal list is what are the 2 things, 5 things, 10 things that you really care about the most? They could be things that are happening right now, today in your life, financial or otherwise. They could be things that you want to have happen 10 years down the line, financial or otherwise, right? Or it could be like a non-negotiable thing where it's like I'm spending money on this and it's not necessarily a goal, but it's just like I'm not like this is just very important to me. So I had someone that I was working with a few months ago. On his list, he said that he got his words very expensive haircuts. It was like $80 a pop or something like that. And he's like, this guy has been doing my family's hair for like 20 years. Um, and it's just like kind of a non-negotiable for me. Like I'm not willing to just like go somewhere else and get a haircut for $20. Like I don't want to go to Sports Clips. Like I want to go to this guy because he's like family. And it was almost like he was trying to convince me. And I was like, dude, you're this is your list. Like you put what you want to put on it. So it's just thinking through that. So everyone's list is going to be different. Don't let anyone persuade you to, I don't know, put stuff on the list. I would just recommend actually having future items on there, like significant items. They could be like very, I should say, like easy to obtain, but also there should be stuff that seems very impossible. And put it on your list, and you'd be very surprised to see what you can do. Um, so what's really big here, and I want you guys to let me know, like, what stage do you think you're in of all of these? So there's awareness. We have action. And then accountability. These are sort of the three pillars to personal finance, how I see it. Okay. So awareness is all the stuff we're talking about here. It's like, what are the things that I can do? What are the small actions? What are the things that I can like do to see like kind of what's been happening? Awareness. So this is me looking at my bank account, right? This is someone in the community tracking their money every day, like all their stuff that they're buying. Okay. That's sort of awareness. It's like, where am I at? What's the temperature in the room? You know what I mean? And then it's action. So looking at my bank account was great, but like that didn't do anything at all. So I had to take like another step, another action, and that's what led me down the road to budgeting. And I guess I wouldn't call what I did back then budgeting, but it was still just like at least understanding, having more of an understanding of what my money was doing, where it was going. And then from there, you can kind of see like, I am telling myself that, XYZ are important. But really, my North Star goals are not being measured by the money that I'm spending. I'm not prioritizing those things. So I can tell myself all day long that I want to save more money. But if I look at my money, time, effort, sacrifices, like, am I truly trying to save more money? Right? Just something like that. So that's kind of that's kind of it with this. And I just really think that anyone can do this. Anyone can pay off debt. Results will vary. I definitely don't guarantee this. Okay. But results will vary. And it depends on a lot of things. It depends on your income. It depends on your cost of living. It depends on like your rate of maybe income increases, things like that, because everyone wants to cut expenses, but I shouldn't say no one, but less people are looking at their income as maybe a way to improve. So I don't want you guys to settle if you think you have a low income. I don't want you to settle on that for the rest of your life and then try to just like scrape by in expenses. Like, how do we find a way to become more valuable? So I think that's a key takeaway as well. Yeah, so let's I think we did that pretty well here. I want to jump inside the community very quickly before we part ways. So this again is Dollar Discipline University, and I'm helping people in here, and other people are helping other people in here, which is also great. Save more money, pay off debt, become more confident. I share a lot of things about like budgeting, but really it's just like how do you just be more confident? So I think that's tough, and that's kind of stuff that we talk about in here as well. There's been people in here that have spoken with me and gotten wins, and again, that's part of the win series. There's been people in here that just I've never talked to be quite honest with you. not that they're ignoring me, like I've reached out to them and stuff, but they're just doing their own thing, and then they post in here, and it's just so cool to see. Like this person, for example, never talked to them, and they're posting about how a small wins matter. Like it's just so cool. So they are seeing what we're doing in here. Once I realized since joining DDU that it's the little changes add up faster than I thought. I've never spoken to that person, right? But they just did the thing. So a lot of cool things in here. I've set this up to be complete. The community is free, and all like the information is free. That's why I'm making these videos. I'm trying not to hold anything back. And then for those of you that want to like speed up the process a little faster, I do have some ways to work directly with me, of course. But something that is free, just to go back to the free, I'm doing every week inside the community this thing called Cashflow Kickstart. And really what I'm trying to do is it's 2-day sprint. Okay, so 2 30-minute calls. And how it's going to work is I want to be able to kind of show you and give you an instant win of where your money's been going, how to realign your money to the things that matter most, and how to keep that momentum month after month. So this is kind of, this is actually kind of the framework that I just spoke about here. Awareness, action, accountability, right? So awareness, where your money's been going. That's very important. But now that we know that where our money's been going, what are we going to do about it? Well, we're going to realign it to the things that matter to us the most. Okay, so that's an action item. So we're going to take how we used to spend money over here, and we're just going to draw a line in the sand, and we're going to change going forward, like realign, reassess, right? And then accountability, right? How to keep that momentum month after month. Because it's one thing, anyone can do this for 1 or 2 months and feel great about it, but then they fall off. So that just means, all three of these are very important together. That's kind of the summary of this. It's like you can't do this without all three of these, and I'm going to walk you through all of it. So this is actually going to be a weekly thing. So I just had the first one of the first call of the first week that I'm doing this tonight, which is really cool. But yeah, I've kind of splashed around some times. They are 48 hours apart. Because it's going to be, hey, let's talk about the thing. Okay, now I want you guys to like do a thing. And then it's not a big effort, okay? But there needs to be like I think there has to be like an investment from you guys to like want to do a little task, a bit of an action item, right? And that's what I talked about, where it's like, how do we realign it? And then we're going to come back and we're going to go through the next steps of like, how do we keep this going month after month? Because I think that's the most important thing. So yeah, different days, times, combinations. This is just for this month specifically. So depending on when you're watching this video, I don't really plan on ever stopping this process unless people tell me they absolutely hate it. But I do think that this is going to be very exciting. So I'm doing it every week because we are getting enough people every week to have at least like 2 to 5 people on the call, which is cool. It's a group call, by the way. I didn't mention that. And yeah, so come on in. The link to the community is down below this video. It is school.com/debt. It's Dollar Discipline University. I'm making these videos every single day, guys, to help you reach your financial goals faster, save more money, pay off debt. So if that's interesting to you, make sure to check out, I don't know, whatever I have in store tomorrow. I'll see you then.